So today I wanted to discuss something that I have been hearing a lot and also thinking about a lot, and it is, in certain terms, importantness, I guess you could say. Basically, what I've been hearing a lot is that one person cannot make a change, and how people basically don't do stuff because they think that is true, and that is the thing that I've been noticing a lot. So that's one part of it, and the second part of it is how do I make a change, because that's something I've been wondering about myself. So let's get into it. I would like to say from the outset that I do not know the answers. I am just taking a wild guess here, so don't take my word for it, but think about it. The first thing is not that difficult. One person cannot make a change. This is more of a me wanting to shout at you for thinking that, because it's not true. And I would like to make this clear by pointing out the very obvious example of thinking it in reverse ways. Think of how many people think this way, think that they cannot make a change by themselves, and one person doesn't make a difference, so why should I even try? Imagine thousands of people thinking this way and not doing stuff because of it. Imagine if all those people were actually like, screw it. Even if it doesn't make a difference, this is how I feel about it, so I'm gonna try to do it, even if it's just for myself, or if I'm just gonna help one person or one animal or one whatever with this, I'm gonna do it because I think it's right. If everyone who thought that one person cannot make a difference would do that, imagine how much change we could bring about. And there is this growing group of people who think they can make a change and who want to be part of the change. And they are making a difference, and you can just tell by things that are shifting in society, and it's just so great to see how change can be made, even by a small group, because one person is not a lot, but as one person you affect the people around you. They start thinking, they might start considering the things you've been thinking about and saying as well, and you can just spread like when you throw a stone in a puddle and it just spreads in wrinkles. There's probably a nice saying for that, but you know what I mean. Imagine you doing that and everyone else, every tiny little person else who is thinking about it, doing that as well. And imagine how many people you can reach that way if everyone just had faith that their voice could make a difference. How many people would get involved? Imagine everyone having faith that they could make a change. What a wonderful world that would be. The second point of this video is a little bit more difficult, for me at least, because it's also my own problem, and it is how to make that change. Because yes, you have decided that you are, for example, against cruelty towards animals, or you are against sexism, which are both, in my opinion, very reasonable things to be against, because imagine you are against those things and you have decided that you are going to call yourself a vegan or a feminist. How do you affect change in others? Because you can know that you're doing something, but after a while you're not really growing anymore. You're not really expanding your effort anymore, because there's only so much you can do as one person. But how do you spread your message further without being told off or being a preach or being annoying in any way? And I think the best way to do that is to accept that people are gonna be frustrated with you, because there's always gonna be those people who just feel offended and get in a defensive, and sometimes that's because they seriously don't understand what you're saying, and sometimes it's because they're scared of the truth. And the best way to go about that, I think, is to stay polite, obviously, and try to show people that you are a normal person and that you might have something valid to say. Because when you start screaming, and I've said this before, people tend to not listen to the words coming out of your mouth, but more like the sound, like the yabbing that you're doing. And I don't think this works in general. I prefer being nice and kind and making people think about stuff, because I think, this girl sounds reasonable, maybe she's right. And that's sort of the way I go about things. I like to point out to people when they're making mistakes, such as saying very sexist things or slut-shaming or anything else for that matter. When I notice it, I try to point it out to people, just making a point of saying it every time it happens and hoping that that will get stuck in people's brain and they will remember next time and not do it again. in terms of veganism, when you're a vegan, you are sort of automatically some kind of light billboard extreme advert for veganism, because every time you come to people and you have to eat at their place, you are gonna have to tell them you're vegan, and you're gonna have an ability to explain what you're coming from. And if you can stay calm and know your facts and be ready for that, you can totally make people at least think about it, maybe eat less meat, maybe use less dairy, stuff like that. You really need to have some faith that you can make a change if you stay calm and try to explain your cause to people, because that's really gonna help them to be open to hearing what you're saying. Obviously, if you're a bigger public figure or bigger in society, in pop culture or something, you have more chance to spread your message, and I think it's good to use that power. And it's also good to hold people accountable for the things they say when they are in a position of more power. Even though you seem like one small person, it's always good to point it out when people are going in the wrong direction, even if they mean well, because in the end they are making the change, and the best way to do that is to be as good as possible. The way to be as good as possible is to know what you're doing wrong, see your mistakes, and be able to correct them for the next time that you're gonna speak up about something. To summarize, your voice matters. And you can call people out, even if they are so much bigger or more popular or more well-known than you are. You can call them out. You are entirely in your right to do that if you think someone's going in the wrong direction. And third of all, stay polite and try to make people know that you are a good person fighting for a good cause, and maybe they will listen. I hope that was somehow inspirational, and I hope it will help you on your way to make the world a better place, and I will see you next week. Bye! Today I wanted to discuss a topic that I wasn't sure whether or not to discuss at all.